One of the best things that you can do when you need a job is have a job.
Yeah.
So that you start this other job and see what's up.
Exactly.
So as they're giving you the 3 shifts, and if you can make it work, then you quit your other spot. Hi. Welcome to the Modern Waiter Podcast. I'm Marlon Joseph, the Modern Waiter, where we discuss all things restaurant business. Learn something. Laugh at something. On today's episode, we are discussing seniority in the restaurant.
What?
But first, the intro.
Tired of working deadbeat jobs for lame pay. I'm tired of getting fired and hired the same day. If you know the rules of the game, then you'll stay. And if you don't, then you'll be a pawn.
As usual, I'm joined by my good friend, Danny DeVilla.
What's up, people?
Outside of the restaurant industry, seniority generally is linked to employee benefits, promotions, and other opportunities. In the restaurant business, it's very interesting to see what is really balled up into this thing
Seniority,
that we called seniority. In general, the biggest benefit to seniority is a schedule, I would say. But then there's so many other nuances, I feel, because whether you like it or not, restaurant is a people business, and you better be liked.
Yeah.
And you're not going to really last in a restaurant necessarily
if you're not liked.
So that's why I think that it's more intertwined than we think. But when we're talking about the scope of this show, we're going to parse out what seniority is in the restaurant, how it shows up, and particularly how it might not be the best thing. I mean, there's good and bad to everything. And so it's natural for longer tenured. You've been at your spot for
16 years.
Boom. You're just past the point in which I left.
Yeah.
And that's a long time, bro, to be in one spot. and so if you were necessarily, let's say you have become lazy, right? And you're a senior, you're a tenured person there, that'll be a problem, because then you're gonna impart your attitude onto
the newer people
and things like that. And that's how cultures change.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk about that a little bit. How does it work? Because we've had managers in the old spot where you work that say they'll come in and they'll say seniority is not a thing. We're not dealing with it. It's going to be a meritocracy, meaning based on performance.
Yeah.
And sooner or later they realize,
you need
them.
You need, you need. I mean, it is based off of performance, but if you have, like you said, unless they get complacent or they get lazy, for the most part, your senior servers know how to do their job.
Yes.
Okay, and they have a system and it works. And you want them to teach the newer servers that, so everything flows, because like we always talk about this, a restaurant has a dance to it.
Yes.
When you're in it, when you're riding it and you're all in, you're moving, you're grooving, everything is kind of flowing like a ballet. Even the pieces behind things that you're not seeing, it's all flowing in one.
Yes.
And when you get a good staff, and you work with a great staff, and they're all senior servers, when you can see that dance and it's unfolding, it's a beautiful thing, because the restaurant, it breathes that way.
Yes.
It's
very
not
poetic.
chaotic, but it's fun. You're having a good time. You can really uplift the guest experience. That way.
Yes. And so if you're likening it to a dance, and as the rhythm goes, it's your senior staff is gonna, when the newer people are misstepping, they'll be like, no, we do the dance
the choreographer's like this.
Yes. They come in with the rulers, like tap, tap.
Get it together. This is how we do it here.
This is how we do it here. Because ultimately, you don't want these people to come in with their bad habits.
True.
And when we're talking about seniority versus meritocracy, we're not implying that just because you have seniority that you're not a good performer.
No.
A lot of times people make that mistake. But what I believe is that there's a danger in only relying on people who've been there a long time.
True. Yeah, you need balance.
You need that balance.
You need fresh set of eyes with the older set.
That's true.
This way you can grow. This way you're not becoming stagnant, and let's be honest, restaurants have short shelf lives anyways. I mean, you're at the 2-3 years, you're straight seniority. Okay, so to be
sometimes sometimes sooner than that.
You know what I mean? So
I've looked around at our host staff, okay, and seeing new people training other people.
Yeah,
I'm like, wait a minute,
what's going on here?
How is she training her?
She barely does this right.
I know, she just got here. Listen, the restaurant is famous for turnover.
Yeah.
And I really feel for management, because if you're one of those managers that are able to keep people for a long time,
and that's why I think they also, when we were talking about, when you were saying earlier, does seniority work or does it not work, or more of this is why we don't have seniority, we don't have seniority because in their mind it's a revolving door. There's a body always to be filled in XYZ.
Yes.
But when you have your anchor, and you have your rocks in there, and those people that that are there, and
that you don't have to worry about.
Exactly,
they're gonna show up.
That shift, that you notice the difference in those shifts. You can see it. You can. Like I said, the dance happens. They're all moving in sync. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's put on the lens of stability and experience, and I think that's one of, for the restaurant anyway, is the core reason why when you keep people for a few years, that stability that you just talked about is freaking precious.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
You don't want to have that sweat bead running down your forehead, worrying if your shifts are going to be filled.
Exactly.
There's two parts to it. You might give them the shift. They might not show up for the shifts.
Yeah.
And so once you start to say, oh, you're nervous about this guy, it's like, oh, he's a good egg, he's a good guy or girl or whatever you want to call it.
They're good eggs, yeah.
Yeah, they're good eggs. And then they start to be dependable, reliable, and you just wish you had 12 more of them.
Exactly.
That never really works out. But then for the company's culture and for the processes that you want to instill, that senior staff member is there for you.
Yeah.
And then, but the downside is, like you said, I've had people come in and they say, oh, why do you do it that way? And in general, you want it to make sense why you do things, but generally you do things because you did it that way yesterday. It takes a really malleable restaurant entity to be able to say, hey, we can take a look at this process and maybe do it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And so that's what
we talk about playing. We get stuck in our ways with certain things.
Yeah, we do, and that's human nature.
Yeah.
Why you want to start relearn? Why you want to learn how to do something else when you do it this way?
Do it this way. It's already, we already figured that part out.
Yeah, it might be a few more steps, but
whatever.
We're halfway there.
Yeah. You just slowed me down.
Yeah.
I was already almost done.
Are you still here?
Yeah.
I mean, like, we used to cut lemons by hand for a long time.
For a long time.
And we had the plunger in the back. It just wasn't used.
We were doing different styles. It was just different. Remember how the lemons were cut back then? Where you cut it in half and then like a sushi roll almost. Not a sushi roll, but we
would cut wheels?
Yeah, half wheels.
Half wheels?
Half wheels. Cut the lemon and then do the
Yeah.
There was no picks. It was just in that when you did it that way, it would automatically open up. We didn't need to slice anything.
I got you. You could just pull it apart, and then the segments will
would just work
reveal itself.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now you do it with the points.
Yes.
So the wedges.
The wedges.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, listen. You're right. There's a couple getting on lemons. Here, I have a pet peeve, and there are these cheap ass people that think they can cut these lemons so thin.
Like, what are you doing?
Like, what are you doing? You're wasting the lemon.
You just wasted. Yeah, there's no juice in that thing. Okay, it does nothing.
When you can't even squeeze it, it folds.
Yeah, it just crunches.
Yeah, come on now.
Worse.
First of all, it's not your fucking lemon. Okay. Like, we have a guy, I'm not gonna call him out. Works at the bar. He His lemons are so thin. I mean, come on now.
Who you keeping those lemons for?
Unless it's decoration.
Yeah.
But it should be decoration plus functional.
Plus functional,
If
always.
you can't hold it in one hand, if you need two hands to squeeze the lemon.
To do this?
You cut it too thin.
Yeah, you got problems.
You got problems. Come on now. And you're not fooling anybody.
We know. We see you.
Even if you're trying to cut that one lemon into 16 pieces, it's still the one lemon. You didn't magically create more lemons.
No.
Stop it.
It's still that tiny ass lemon that you use in your hand.
There's some that, just look beautiful and it's the wheel and
it looks great.
Or something like that. But come on, cut them lemons right.
Cut them right.
Cut them right.
Get it right. Get it tight.
Tighten up. He listens too. I'm gonna hear it. The turnover thing is when you're imparting your culture, and it's the senior the seniority people that are going to be doing your training. Okay. Now you're in danger of burning them out if you don't nurture the people that are coming in.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about seniority and loyalty has to come into play.
True.
As far as that is such a good, that's such a benefit to rewarding seniority. There are people that work with me that have a better schedule than everybody else, but they also do things. So it's really tough to parse that out because yes, they've been there for a long time. They know how things go. And they do those extra things that none of us have to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not even thinking about. The behind-the-scenes stuff.
The behind-the-scenes stuff that really help the managers out. I think some places would say that they'll give them a title like a key employee or something like that. But we just don't. But there are a couple people that help put wine on the menu or do liquor ordering or do dry good orderings or do all this other stuff that...
It's not in their title at all.
It's not their job.
No.
So why would they want to do that if they're just going to be,
Because in their mind they want it to run how they know how it can run, and B, they like being a part of the process. They like knowing that, hey, I have everything I need in house. They like knowing that they're not going to run out of this liquor. They like knowing that it's going to be done the right way because they made sure it was done the right way.
Yeah.
And I mean, which you can't be mad at that.
Do you train?
No, not anymore. No, I don't.
So do they not ask you or like they stopped asking you? How does that work?
It depends. Like, if for the most part, I just don't like, the newer, I've been there long enough where I'm training while not training. I like to see what other people are teaching you and kind of then like, hey, not stepping on, like, I want to see what they say and see how you kind of flow. But I'm kind of like, I Yoda it. Does that make sense?
No.
Huh?
No.
Instead, like, I'm not giving it all to Luke. I'm Yoda from...
Okay, I see what you're saying.
But I'm dealing with all the Padawans.
Do you ever have a trainee?
It's very far few in between.
Okay, who trains?
They're senior servers, but, like more like the 3-year, the 2-year, the average, yeah.
Okay.
My closers, because I don't even close anymore. So mostly the closers are training now. So
who are you?
Huh?
I don't even know you anymore.
You don't close either.
I'm not saying I close, but I'm saying you used to always close. You used to double close.
Yeah, I know.
So you just kind of, you float in the middle.
Yes. I'm there for...
You don't open, you don't close.
No,
you come in,
I'm there for volume. I'm the guy.
Who's better than you? Nobody.
Schedule's nice and chill. Just like you said, I have all those little perks. Again,
yeah.
I'm there till close, but I don't close the restaurant physically anymore. We just added certain little things and nuances that I just didn't really. I didn't see what was the extra need for it.
You're like, no.
Yeah, I'm not doing all that extra. You know what I mean? When we
Which is what? What do you got to do?
I don't even know what they do for closing anymore half the time.
Okay, find out for our next show.
I will.
Is we gonna do a show on closing?
Yeah.
Find out. Because neither one of us do. I know what we got to do to close.
No, and it's so because they added so much more. It's almost like double the work.
Really?
I mean, compared to what you remember, it's a whole different ballgame.
Man,
yeah.
I wouldn't be closing either.
Exactly. I was like, you got to do what?
Ooh.
You want me to do who?
Nah.
That's all good. I know how to do this very well. I'll just do this one or two things very well and be happy with it. And in this way, you don't have to worry about it as the closer.
So what benefits? Okay, we'll talk. We're off track.
We're off track. Let's get back. Let's pull it back in.
So like 2 or 3 year people,
they train. Because they've been there long enough. Mm-hmm. I am not gonna say I haven't trained, but it's very far few in between.
How long is training there?
It's still the normal. A full week. 5 shifts.
Okay, that's 5
shifts,
important.
yeah.
Okay, 5 shifts.
You're usually going to do a follow. Then you'll do like a kitchen follow. So you can learn the menu. Okay. You want to do 1 and 1, lunch and dinner, or breakfast, lunch, and then dinner. And then you'll do like a mid, like a long day, like you'll come in maybe like the end of breakfast, like 10 o'clock, and then stay until like 8 o'clock. Okay. That's a nice long, it's a long 10-hour day, but you get everything in one shot. And then you do your 2 morning follows, and then your 2 dinner follows, and then your last one will be where we follow you.
Okay. And what are the more coveted shifts as far as? So you still do you have any people that do only night?
Yeah. Well,
because you have breakfast and
we do.
And
so there's like 2, but for the most part, everybody's supposed to work one day. Even when you were there, you're supposed to work 1 day shift. Back in the day, there wasn't. That was one of the rules. I remember when I first started working there, you had to at least work 1 day. So now do they? I think I'm gonna have like 1 or 2 that don't work at least 1 day. Okay. So not many.
So what I'm getting at is, how long have they been there?
They're about 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's define this. What's
and I think how they did it because they had another job or like a daytime job, so they try to, which is fine. You work in a restaurant because of you need the flexibility.
True.
So
true.
We're not going to argue that fact. Now other people get mad. But people are going to complain anyways, no matter what kind of schedule you have. That is true. Like I think my schedule's nice and chill. But for some people, it might not be enough. They will want to work more nights. You know what I mean? But I navigate my schedule the way I like it. And it fits my lifestyle.
Yeah. No, you have a balanced schedule. I wouldn't say that your schedule is heavy of night shifts because, you've been there a long time and things like that. So nobody can really say
anything.
Much,
yeah.
And when I worked there, I think I had, 15 years in, and I worked one Saturday
day,
lunch.
Yeah, 1 lunch, and you had 3 nights or 4 nights?
I ended up with 3 nights.
Mm-hmm. In the end.
But when I worked 5
your
days.
Your initial was 4 and 1.
It was 4 and 1.
Yeah.
And that was a lot for me. I could hardly be nice for 5 days in a row.
It's hard.
It's really tough.
Yeah, that's why I'm at the point of the 4 days. I work 5 shifts in 4 days. But I'm okay with that because, like you said, these precious 3 days that when we are doing this podcast for you guys and all these other things that we have going on in our lives, and they give us sanity.
Yes.
Okay, we need that sanity to keep working in the business that we work in.
Without a doubt. I really cannot. I commend anyone who puts in the hours in the restaurant.
That goes all in.
Yes.
Like our boy Cop. It goes all ham.
They go all ham, man. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And we really do this for you. And one of the reasons why we do reach out to our audience, for instance, right now, if you do enjoy our show, let us know. Give us a like. Yeah, if you're on YouTube, let's start there. Definitely give us a like and subscribe. Mm-hmm. And if there's something that we said that resonates or you have a question, put in the comments. We get it right away. And it's very advantageous to listen that way because we're able to...
It's almost direct contact.
Yeah, we have direct contact. You can always reach out at The Modern Waiter Podcast on Instagram or themodernwaiter@gmail.com.
Boom.
Now, having said that, if you're listening on the audio podcast and you've never really ever give us a review, consider giving us a 5-star review. Write us, and then we'll see which direction we want to listen to the show or who you are, and then we can accommodate that way and know
what we're doing.
What we're doing right, what we're doing it for.
Exactly.
Now, we can't be everywhere, so as you start to communicate with us, we communicate with everybody else, and it links us as a community because that's eventually where we want to go.
Yeah.
Building, meeting up people, and saying, "Oh, you guys do it like this. We do it like that."
Yeah.
And we do get people. People have written me from England, from Canada, from not so much from from Australia, things like that. And that's incredible because, whoa, you guys do things, especially with tipping and things like that. Now, getting back to the seniority thing, the reason why I asked about who trains and then ultimately the schedule, because I want to know, because that's one of the biggest things is the schedule is going to be how you get rewarded as a senior. You want to have them, assuming that they're the strongest, on those shifts and things like that, because you can have tenured servers still be weak, or weak in areas or lazy. They're those legacy people that's just been there, but they show up.
They're there because you don't have to worry about that body in the building.
Yes.
Okay.
And that is ginormous.
That's huge.
Yeah. And eventually, like, let's say you have a new person and they're gung-ho. Right? They're really, really good at what they do. There'll be an issue if they have the best schedule right away.
Yeah, and with anything, people, I've been in my restaurant for a long time. This is what I get from a lot of new people. Oh, I'm not making X, Y, Z, or I'm not doing this, and and they're all like, and I tell them, I said, you got to put your time in. I said, if you're working a cocktail, everybody had to. It's not like we're punishing you.
Yeah.
We've all been there, okay?
Yes.
We've all grown past that stage, or some people are still in it. Some people are just very good at that position.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, but for the most part, it's a growing kind of thing. You need to earn your spot. I remember starting at the spot that I'm at, and man, the manager at the time was like, yo, I remember it took for almost like 6 months to get a closing shift, yo.
Yeah.
Okay, because everybody was senior server. And he had his staff the way he liked it, and people knew their schedule off the rip. You know what I mean? It was your schedule at the time was predictable. You knew when you were closing. You knew exactly who you were closing with.
Yes, because I wouldn't close with just anybody.
You don't want to.
And if I close with a certain person, I'd shift out of it.
Yeah, me and the guest we had maybe 2 shows with Chris would close every Friday together, and we had a system.
Yeah.
Until that system changed and they started doing extra stuff.
Yeah.
Me and Chris that was my last time I closed was with Chris. Me and Chris had our own system for years. We had a very smooth close. And now I see it with these same, now people, my Friday crew and my Saturday crew, it's the same 2 closers. So, and I see their dynamic, and and you get accustomed to who you're working with.
Yes.
And you have a flow and it works.
Now here's the downside. Let's say I start a new job, right? And it's hard for me to break in because it's a lot of senior staff. Now I'm not making any money. The downside is it's really challenging to break into a restaurant, and I'm getting the overflow. I'm getting the unseatable sections and the unwantable, unwanted
when
schedule.
you have a spot that has all seniority, yes.
Yeah.
It's hard to get into.
It's hard to get because I get it. You don't want to just go in there and supplant people who've been there for a long time, who've had their schedule and things like that, and then all of a sudden they don't have the schedule that they are used to and deserve. However, what if they don't deserve it?
No, true.
That's where the meritocracy argument comes in. Let's say I'm a stellar server. I'm wasted talent in this place, and that's where your turnover gets.
That's where you get turnover.
That's where you get turnover.
And but I tell the same people that are, I go, you got to give them 6 months though, at least 6 months, and then you'll see it because you need to make it through one season.
But who has 6 months to not make money?
Nobody. And I'm not saying you don't make no money. You just got to remember that you're not the top of the totem pole.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, I mean you're not gonna work at a spot. Neither one of us works a spot where you don't make any money. Okay, there's always those days where you make money.
True.
So for that, what I mean? But now to be at a spot, I've left spots because I'm not making money.
Real quick.
Okay. So you at least need if you're at a spot and you see hope and you know that there's money to be made, this is my advice. That's when you give them the time. Now, if you see it and only one person's consistently making money and the rest of the place is
that's a problem.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
That's when it's time to go.
That's when it's time.
Or not even one position. Maybe it's just one. It doesn't mean the same person, but maybe just that one section.
Okay.
Or just that bar. And the restaurant itself is dead.
Yeah.
That's when you got to readjust and get the hell out.
Okay. Here's what my solution is. When I was new at the old spot, you have to be able to be given an opportunity to hustle.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing. Because if all I can get are these 2-3 crappy stations in these 2-3 shifts, I'm out.
Yeah.
But if you allow me to hound everyone on the schedule
I can pick up,
for a pickup.
Yeah, if I'm able, and picking up is not hard. So if you're willing to put the time
depending on the time of year.
Yes.
When things are good, it's hard.
When things are bad, it's hard to get pickup. When things are good, people are giving up shifts in season.
Yeah, you're right. I misspoke.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's when like right now, we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, where it's not as good. You're out of season. Everybody's their reins are tight. They're like, ooh, no, I gotta keep this shift. Yeah. Now, when you're making money,
when you're flooded,
you're like,
you can have that.
I'll make that back to Ma.
Friday you can have it.
You can have it.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I lived off of picking up. I hustled. I did not accept my schedule the way it was.
And that's how you get ahead. And that's why I tell people, you can, if you're willing to put the time in, and that's talking about putting time in. Being in the restaurant, putting that time in, showing that, that you can. I'm your guy. You we talked about before, full availability.
Full availability.
When you come in somewhere, have that full availability so you can get in where you fit in, grind, and that's how you cut a spot that has seniority. You can cut that time in half to where you're, instead of being 6 months, in 3 months they see you grinding, like, oh, he can handle a close.
Yeah.
Let's give him one. Compared to the person who's just been kind of being a body.
True.
There's bodies, and then there's people that shine, and people that shine will always shine through.
Yeah. To me it's really interesting, the dynamic of when you get a job.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're getting a job presumably because somebody left.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be people leaving for a variety of reasons. And it's not always bad. When I started, there was high turnover. There was a lot of people. Throughout my tenure there.
There's a flux.
There's a flux.
Well, even remember the schedule? Remember the schedule when it was on paper?
Yeah.
You could cut the thing in half, and that would be the turnover.
Yeah, the bottom half of the schedule
would be the turnover, and then the top part had been there for years.
Yes.
And that was just the way it was.
True.
So that was all the turnover. I mean, there would be, so let's say the schedule had 32 people, guaranteed 16. As the people are climbing through to get to that top 16, the bottom 16 we're turning.
Now, that reminds me of something, because one of the best things that you can do when you need a job is have a job.
Yeah.
So that you start this other job and see what's up.
Exactly.
So as they're giving you the 3 shifts, and if you can make it work, then you quit your other spot.
I tell people, I go, you always find a job when you have a job.
Yeah.
Jobs are there. It's the opportunity is there.
Yeah.
When you don't have a job and you need it is when it's hard to find it.
True.
It's always hard to find a job. Yeah.
A relationship, I should
Absolutely.
When you have one, they're coming out the woodworks.
They can smell it.
They can smell it. They want it. They're like, ooh, I want that one. He's taken. And?
Yeah.
What's your point? Well, when you're single.
Yeah. They can smell that too.
They don't want nothing to do with it. They look your way.
You're like,
yo, have a girl look at you right now. Have a girl show some interest. 2 more coming. So weird.
Oh, you're right though. Every time. Every time.
Thank you so much. We're gonna end on that.
We're gonna end on that.
Maybe do a happy hour on Monday this time. I'm Marlon Joseph, the modern waiter.
I'm Danny DeVilla. Subscribe, people.
We'll see you next time.
Later.